Well, I guess I'm reading my instructions. Number one, I started playing in 1971. My big sister's classical guitar, because that's what my younger sister and I shared for guitar lessons after school. And then about 4 years later, I knew Tom Rock Green. You guys might know him. He was Cliff's rival and a dear friend, and still is a dear friend of mine. And Tom was my first guitar teacher. Then about 4 years later, I studied with Cliff for about 6 months, and then moved away to Kansas City and LA, and was gone about 20 years and did a lot of things. But my first influence in music was my dad. My dad was a drummer. He played a 37 Ludwig kit in the 50s and 60s in the Blue Notes with Dennis Harrell, and I don't know if you guys are related, but Dennis Harrell, my dad, Dean Roush, and all those guys. Anyway, they were, that was a primary influence, and drums made a big difference. He was more of a brushes guy. So to me, I really enjoy the amplified guitar, and my acoustics are amplified as well. I have a DeArmond pickup in one of my guitars because it gives you an opportunity to do things you otherwise can't often do on acoustic, although I love acoustic as well. So this is kind of a blend. So I guess that's my inspiration. I'm very rhythmic about my playing. I'm not known as a hot lead player because I've always been with the greats and enjoyed them so much. I'm a vocalist that learned to play guitar to accompany myself because I knew I'd always show up. And I have. I've never broken that promise. So, but also, in time, have grown so much to love the instrument. And I like to pick out a lot of things by ear. And since I'm not singing together, you're going to have to guess the tune. Lover Man. I love big band. So I started off with jazzy kind of songs, did a lot of Billie Holiday and things like that, and then got in, well, all that has blues and jazz roots, and I think we've all been influenced by all of that, whether we're listeners or players. And then, of course, I went through the folk era and that kind of thing. But the most fun that I have, and I guess there was something about what motivates you, right, along the way. It's just fun. I mean, people don't think I really have a job. I teach guitar lessons. It's a real job. But I don't tell myself that because I'm constantly wanting people to cultivate their own skills, their own inner talent, their own influences, and help them write songs and things like that. So Carole King came in the picture. So I'm just doing some excerpts of things, but one thing the electric did for people and guitarists is it allowed them to emulate trumpets. It allowed bass to come through more. It wasn't just a background rhythm thing that you hoped you could hear in the band, but it, of course, we have resonator guitars and other things that amplified on their own without electricity, but it allowed you to emulate all those sounds, maybe like in Unchain My Heart. We always think Ray Charles, piano, background girls. So when I play it, I don't have the background girls and I don't have Ray Charles. And that's piano. So what do you do with Unchain My Heart? So you try to put it all in there, and there are little hints of this and that. Also, of course, this is more of like a rockabilly kind of guitar in a lot of ways. So you can do, well, wrong strum. Now, you might. Thank you. Well, how's my time?
Good. We have time for questions.
Do we have time for questions? Anyone have any? Good question. It's a 5120. It's pinstriped, which is an inspiration. It's hand painted, but it's, it's not an expensive instrument. Again, it's back to what feels good, what plays good, what do you like? It really, that's what matters. And sometimes you're lucky, and a brand like Silvertone that you wouldn't think would become iconic, becomes iconic when you bought it for $45. And timed payments, right? But it matters how it sounds. I love Guild acoustics. It's not a Martin, but it sounds really good. So I enjoy this model a lot. It's got a lot of versatility. Anybody else? Yes.
That's made by Guild or?
This one is a Gretsch.
Oh, it's- I don't know.
Yeah. I crossed over, sorry.
I'm just old.
No, you're fine.
Does that have 6 strings or 8 strings?
It just has 6. I can only handle that many.
Oh, well, I can't handle it, but my question is, and this is a general statement, is, somebody mentioned earlier 9 strings, 6 strings, 8
Yeah.
strings and all. What do more strings do?
Ooh, that would be a question for you because they're, do you want to answer that?
More versatility. Some people really like to range their playing so that they want to have access to lots of different things, and sometimes it's a tuning thing. They can have these strings tuned to this, and other strings tuned to that,
Oh,
so on.
okay.
Real long thing.
Yeah, that too.
I'm sorry, I just was asking.
You know what? That you don't have to apologize. This is all about the guitars. It's not really about the people, although it's nice to be here and I'm really honored. But
I'd say, 9 out of 10 guitars have 6 strings on them.
yeah, that's the most common, and chord diagrams will be based on 6.
One in the front window with 19 or 18 or something like that.
You should play guitar.
To me?
She's at, yeah, well, you too.
I wish I could.
Yes.
Two of my favorite guitarists, Chet Atkins and
Yes.
Robert Harrell, some of the Beatles.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a beautiful guitar. It sounds great, but do you have any comparison of yours to the ones they use?
I have a book that I gaze upon with Chet Atkins. Actually, I got to go to a guitar workshop of his, and I also, in Kansas City years ago, he was walking down the street in downtown Kansas City all by himself with his little round glasses, and I went, and we were on our way to the Folly Theater, I think. He was a great man, and I have looked at a lot at his work, listened to him a lot. I enjoy the finger style, and he was phenomenal. But yeah, this is kind of along the lines.
I think they use what's called a country gentleman, but I don't know.
This isn't the exact one,
I'm
but
curious.
it's,
They all
you can,
small body, pretty much.
yeah. Yeah, they have other models, I'm sure, but it's really fun. And isn't that what it's about? It's good sounds, fun, and enjoying it. Anybody else? Well, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed being here.